The immense chamber thrummed with suppressed anxiety. Light, filtered through towering crystalline structures, cast an ethereal glow upon the gathered dignitaries, their faces etched with a mixture of apprehension and thinly veiled disdain. Lord Vorath, his carapace gleaming with polished obsidian, shifted uneasily on his dais, the intricate patterns adorning his crest pulsating with a nervous energy he struggled to contain. Before him, a holographic projection flickered, displaying a swirling nebula of vibrant colors, the very image a source of both fascination and profound unease. The nebula, codenamed the Cradle, was the last known location of them, the Earthborn. For cycles, the Council of Unified Galaxies had monitored the expansion of humanity with growing alarm. Their technology, while not yet surpassing the established powers, possessed an unsettling adaptability, a raw ingenuity that defied conventional analysis. Their ships, crude and unrefined by Xantarian standards, nonetheless navigated the cosmos with an unnerving confidence. Their culture, a chaotic tapestry of conflicting ideologies, somehow coalesced into a unified drive, a relentless ambition that propelled them ever outward. It was this unpredictable nature, this inherent wildness that unsettled the delicate balance of galactic power. The Grand Archivist, a wizened being whose existence predated the very formation of the Council, spoke, his voice a raspy echo in the vast chamber. The Earthborn continue to expand. Their colonization efforts are aggressive. They disregard established protocols, ignore designated exclusion zones, and, disturbingly, they have begun to excavate within the Cradle itself. A collective gasp rippled through the assembly. The Cradle was a forbidden zone, a region of space steeped in ancient lore and whispered warnings. It was believed to be a nexus of dormant cosmic energies, a place best left undisturbed. Lady Aris, the pragmatic and influential representative of the Cygnus Confederacy, rose to address the Council. Her voice, sharp and precise, cut through the mounting tension. The Earthborn are ignorant. They are a fledgling species unaware of the dangers they are courting. A simple diplomatic intervention, a firm reminder of galactic law, should suffice to redirect their activities. She paused, her multifaceted eyes glinting with self-assuredness. We will send an envoy, a small, non-threatening presence. We will explain the risks, the potential consequences, and they will comply. Vorath, however, remained unconvinced. He had studied the Earthborn, pored over countless reports, sensor readings, and intercepted communications. He sensed something deeper, something more profound at play. Their ignorance, he suspected, was a facade, their recklessness a calculated gamble. I urge caution, Lady Aris. The Earthborn are not easily deterred. They possess a stubbornness, a conviction in their own righteousness that borders on fanaticism. A mere diplomatic gesture will be insufficient. We must prepare for contingencies. The debate raged on for what seemed like an eternity, a cacophony of voices echoing through the chamber. Some echoed Aris's sentiments, advocating for a measured approach, a gentle nudge to steer humanity away from the forbidden zone. Others, fueled by fear and suspicion, demanded a more forceful intervention, a show of strength to remind them of their place within the galactic hierarchy. Vorath listened, his mind racing, trying to decipher the true intentions of the Earthborn, to understand the nature of their relentless drive. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial, a vital piece of the puzzle that would unlock the mystery of their actions. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The Council, paralyzed by indecision, remained locked in endless debate. Meanwhile, the Earthborn continued their excavations within the Cradle, their activities growing increasingly frantic, their ships disappearing into the swirling nebula, never to return. Reports flooded in, detailing strange energy signatures, anomalies that defied all known physics. The whispers of ancient prophecies grew louder, the warnings of impending doom echoing through the corridors of power. Finally, Vorath could bear it no longer. He invoked his authority as the keeper of the galactic archives, demanding an emergency session of the Council. He presented his findings, a compilation of intercepted communications, sensor data, and historical records, all pointing to a single, terrifying conclusion. The Earthborn were not merely excavating within the Cradle. They were awakening something ancient, something powerful, something that had been dormant for millennia. They ignored the warnings, Vorath declared, his voice resonating with a newfound urgency. They disregarded the ancient lore. They have disturbed the slumber of the Titan. A wave of disbelief washed over the assembly. The Titan, a mythical being of unimaginable power, said to have shaped the very fabric of the cosmos, a creature of legend that had been banished to the depths of the Cradle eons ago. The idea that the Earthborn could awaken such a being was preposterous, bordering on insanity. But as Vorath presented the evidence, the undeniable anomalies, the energy signatures that echoed the ancient descriptions of the Titan's power, doubt began to creep into the minds of the council members. The holographic projection of the cradle shimmered, the swirling colors intensifying, pulsing with an unnatural energy. A low rumble, barely perceptible at first, began to emanate from the projection, growing louder, more ominous with each passing moment. Suddenly the projection flickered, and a new image appeared, a single Earthborn vessel, battered and scarred, emerging from the depths of the nebula. The ship was transmitting a message, a desperate plea for help, the words barely audible amidst the static. "We are in, we have awakened it, the Titan is rising, tell them it is not alone." The message abruptly cut off, the ship vanishing from the projection, swallowed by the swirling chaos of the cradle. A profound silence descended upon the chamber, broken only by the low rumble emanating from the nebula, now vibrating with palpable dread. The council, finally realizing the gravity of the situation, stared in horrified silence at the image before them. They had ignored the warnings. They had dismissed the Earthborn as insignificant, and now they were facing the consequences. Then the Earthborn, the Titan, stirred, and the stars trembled. Far beyond the council chambers, amidst the swirling chaos of the Cradle Nebula, humanity stood defiant. Commander Eva Rostova, her face grim, stared at the sensor readings flooding her command console. The Titan had stirred. Its energy signature was off the charts, a chaotic maelstrom threatening to consume everything in its path. Rostova's ship, the Icarus, was one of the few remaining vessels within the nebula, tasked with monitoring the Titan's activity and, if possible, finding a way to contain it. The mission had been a gamble from the start. The Cradle was a forbidden zone for a reason. Ancient texts spoke of dormant cosmic entities, beings of unimaginable power that could reshape the universe. But humanity had been driven by a desperate need, a thirst for knowledge, a desire to unlock the secrets of the cosmos. They had hoped to find a way to harness the Titan's energy, to use it to solve their own existential crisis, the dwindling resources of their home world, the growing threat of interstellar conflict. They had been warned. The Council of Unified Galaxies had sent emissaries, urging them to abandon their excavations, to respect the ancient boundaries. But humanity, in its arrogance, had dismissed their concerns, believing they knew better. They had ignored the warnings, and now they were paying the price. "Report," Rostova barked, her voice tight with tension. "Titan's energy output is increasing exponentially, Commander," Lieutenant Chen replied, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "It's creating spatial distortions, gravitational anomalies. The nebula is becoming unstable." "Any sign of the others?" Rostova asked, referring to the research teams that had been excavating within the nebula. "Negative, Commander. All communication lost. We're the only ones left." Rostova sighed, a knot of despair tightening in her chest. They were alone, surrounded by chaos, facing a cosmic entity that could destroy them all, but she refused to give up. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and they had always found a way to survive. "Prepare the containment field generators," Rostova ordered. "We're going to try to contain the Titan, even if it's just for a few moments. It's all we can do." The crew of the Icarus sprang into action, their movements precise and efficient, their faces etched with determination. They knew the risks. They knew the odds were stacked against them. But they were Earthborn. They would not surrender. They would fight to the bitter end. As the Icarus approached the source of the Titan's energy, the ship began to shake violently, alarms blaring throughout the vessel. The spatial distortions were growing stronger, tearing at the fabric of reality. Rostova gripped her command chair, her knuckles white, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of energy ahead. "Containment field generators ready, Commander," Chen announced. "Activate," Rostova commanded. The ship shuddered as the containment field generators came online, emitting a pulsating wave of energy that enveloped the Titan. For a brief moment, the energy signature stabilized, the spatial distortions subsided. Rostova held her breath, her heart pounding in her chest. But the calm was short-lived. The Titan, sensing the intrusion, lashed out with unimaginable force, shattering the containment field, sending a shockwave that ripped through the Icarus. The ship spun out of control, its hull groaning under the immense pressure. "We're losing control, Commander," Chen yelled. "The ship is breaking apart." Rostova knew they were doomed. The Icarus was no match for the Titan's power, but she refused to go down without a fight. "All hands prepare for emergency evacuation," Rostova ordered. "Activate the escape pods, and Chen send a message to Earth. Tell them what happened here. Tell them to be prepared." Chen nodded, his face pale, his fingers trembling as he typed the message. "Message sent, Commander," he said. "Good," Rostova replied. "Now get to the escape pods." Rostova watched as the crew abandoned ship, their escape pods launching into the swirling chaos of the nebula. She was the last one left on board. She took one last look at the command console, at the flickering sensor readings, at the image of the Titan, a swirling vortex of unimaginable power. "We tried," she whispered. "We failed, but you won't win. Humanity will not be broken." With that, Rostova activated her own escape pod and launched it into the void. As the Icarus was consumed by the Titan's energy, Rostova closed her eyes, bracing for the inevitable. But the end never came. Instead, Rostova felt a strange sensation, a tingling in her skin, a feeling of being connected. She opened her eyes and saw a vision, a vast expanse of space, filled with countless stars, galaxies, and nebulae. She saw the Titan not as a monstrous entity, but as a being of pure energy, a force of creation and destruction, a fundamental part of the cosmos. And then she saw them. They were ancient beings, beings of immense power and wisdom, the creators of the Titan, the guardians of the cradle. They had been watching humanity for cycles, observing their progress, their ambition, their potential. They had seen their mistakes, their arrogance, their recklessness. But they had also seen their courage, their resilience, their unwavering spirit. And they had decided to intervene. The ancient beings reached out to Rostova, their thoughts flowing into her mind, filling her with knowledge and understanding. They explained the true nature of the Titan, its purpose, its potential. They revealed the secrets of the cradle, its connection to the very fabric of the cosmos. And they offered humanity a choice. They could destroy the Titan, eliminating the threat it posed to the galaxy. Or they could learn to control it, to harness its power, to use it for the betterment of all. The choice was not an easy one. Destroying the Titan would ensure their safety, their survival. But it would also mean losing a valuable resource, a potential source of unimaginable power. Controlling the Titan, on the other hand, was a risky proposition. It would require immense skill, knowledge, and discipline. But it could also unlock a new era of progress and prosperity for humanity, allowing them to explore the cosmos, to build a better future. Rostova considered the choice, weighing the risks and rewards. She thought of her home world, of the dwindling resources, of the growing conflicts. She thought of her crew, of their sacrifices, their unwavering loyalty. And she made her decision. "We choose to control the Titan," Rostova declared, her voice resonating with newfound conviction. "We will learn to harness its power. We will use it to build a better future for all." The ancient beings nodded, their approval radiating through her mind. They released their hold on Rostova, sending her back to her escape pod, back to the swirling chaos of the nebula. But Rostova was no longer afraid. She had seen the truth. She had learned the secrets of the cradle, and she knew that humanity was ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. As her escape pod drifted through the void, Rostova looked back at the Titan, at the swirling vortex of energy that had once threatened to destroy them all. But now, she saw it in a new light, not as a monster, but as a source of hope, a symbol of the potential that lay dormant within humanity, waiting to be awakened. The message from the Icarus reached Earth, sparking fear and panic among the leaders of the world. The Council of Unified Galaxies, finally realizing the gravity of the situation, mobilized their fleets, preparing for a full-scale assault on the cradle. But before they could act, a new message arrived, a message from Rostova, a message of hope, a message of defiance. "We have made contact," Rostova declared. "We have learned the secrets of the cradle. We have chosen to control the Titan. We are not a threat, we are a solution." The message sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Council of Unified Galaxies, stunned by the audacity of the Earthborn, hesitated, unsure of how to respond. But Rostova's words resonated with many, with those who had grown tired of the endless conflicts, the rigid hierarchies, the stifling rules. They saw in humanity a spark of hope, a chance for a new beginning. And so a new era began, an era of cooperation, of understanding, of shared responsibility. Humanity, guided by the wisdom of the ancient beings, began to unlock the secrets of the Titan, to harness its power for the betterment of all. They built new technologies, explored new worlds, and forged new alliances. They shared their knowledge, their resources, and their unwavering spirit with the rest of the galaxy. And slowly but surely the stars began to tremble, not in fear but in anticipation. Anticipation of a new dawn, a new age of prosperity, a new era of unity. Years passed, and the Earthborn became known throughout the galaxy, not as reckless upstarts, but as wise and powerful allies. They had proven their worth, their courage, and their unwavering commitment to the greater good. They had transformed the Titan, once a symbol of destruction, into a source of creation, a beacon of hope for all. But the story of humanity and the Titan was far from over. The ancient beings had warned them that the Titan was not alone, that there were other entities, other forces, lurking in the shadows, waiting for their chance to strike. And one day, those forces emerged, threatening to plunge the galaxy into chaos once more. A cosmic signal, ancient and malevolent, was detected emanating from the furthest reaches of the galaxy, a signal that resonated with the Titan, a signal that stirred its dormant energies. The signal was a call to arms, a summons for the dark forces that had been banished to the void eons ago. The Council of Unified Galaxies, once again paralyzed by fear, turned to humanity for help. They knew that only the Earthborn, with their knowledge of the Titan and their unwavering spirit, could stand against the coming darkness. And humanity, without hesitation, answered the call. Rostova, now a seasoned veteran, a respected leader, gathered her forces, preparing for the greatest challenge they had ever faced. She knew that the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. She knew that they were facing impossible odds. But she also knew that they were not alone. They had the Titan on their side, a force of unimaginable power. They had the wisdom of the ancient beings, guiding them every step of the way. And most importantly, they had each other. As the Earthborn fleet prepared to confront the darkness, Rostova stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Phoenix, staring out at the vast expanse of space. She thought of her ancestors, of their struggles, their sacrifices, their unwavering determination. She thought of the crew of the Icarus, of their courage, their loyalty, their ultimate sacrifice. And she knew that they would not be disappointed. "We are the Earthborn," Rostova declared, her voice resonating with unwavering conviction. "We have faced impossible odds before, and we have always found a way to survive. We will not surrender. We will not be broken. We will fight for our freedom. We will fight for our future. We will fight for the galaxy." And with that, the Earthborn fleet charged into the darkness, ready to face whatever horrors awaited them. They were the last hope of the galaxy. They were the protectors of the Titan. They were the Earthborn. And the stars trembled once more, this time not in anticipation, but in awe. Awe of the courage, the resilience, the unwavering spirit of humanity. Awe of the power of unity, of understanding, of shared responsibility. The battle raged for eons, a cosmic struggle that threatened to tear the very fabric of reality. But humanity, with the help of their allies, stood firm, repelling the darkness, pushing it back into the void from whence it came. In the end, the Earthborn prevailed. They had saved the galaxy. They had proven their worth. They had earned their place among the stars. As the dust settled and the survivors emerged from the wreckage, Rostova stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, surveying the battlefield. She was weary, battered, and scarred, but she was also filled with a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride. They had done it. They had saved the galaxy. But Rostova knew that their work was far from over. The forces of darkness were still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for their chance to strike. And so humanity remained vigilant, ever watchful, ever prepared. They continued to explore the cosmos, to build new alliances, to unlock the secrets of the Titan. They knew that the future was uncertain. They knew that there would be more challenges to face, more battles to fight. But they also knew that they were not alone. They had each other. They had the Titan. They had the wisdom of the ancient beings. And they had hope. As Rostova gazed out at the stars, she couldn't help but smile. The stars trembled not in fear but in respect.